Hey, what's up, everybody? Coming to you from real close to the entrance to Big Bend National Park in Texas. I'm in a little town called Terlinga. Actually, that's my accommodation for the night. A fucking teepee. It's 102 degrees out here right now. There's a little air conditioning unit in that teepee, but it says don't turn it on if the temperature's over 95. So I'm hoping it cools down by tonight. Anyway, I'm here to talk about the market. I mean, it's very possible today was a bottom, and I'll tell you why. You know, I've been talking about the government surplus that we've been running, or that the government's been running since May, actually, April and into May. And that surplus narrowed to 21.5 billion. It was 50 billion the day before. Now it's down to 21.5 billion, and that's through May 11th. So that's the data from yesterday from the Treasury statement. So it's very possible today's data, which we will get tomorrow, will show that the surplus from May has been pretty much wiped out. And even if it's not wiped out as of today, it's going to absolutely flip back into deficit on Monday, because Monday we're going to get a quarterly interest payment. That's going to be 40-something billion. So let's say today, we may be down to a surplus of 14 billion. We're going to be 20, 30 billion by early next week. And then that deficit will start to grow again through the month of May. Monday's the 16th. So, I think it's looking better for the remainder of this month. And then, once again, we get into that summer rally mode. The market's like crazy, extremely bearish and oversold. The only problem I could say is, will that deficit be big enough now? Because this is a problem. I mean, it's been shrinking steadily. You know this. I've been talking about this. The deficit is the net transfer to the non-government, to the economy. That's been shrinking. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The deficit now, it was down something like 1.3 trillion compared to last year. And now it's probably even less compared to last year. So if it's too small, I mean, even if there's going to be a deficit, if it's too small, it's questionable whether it will be sufficient to keep the economy in a growth mode, in GDP expansion. I think the probability or the possibility of a recession is still, pretty high. But we have to see what transpires through the rest of this month. I mean, if we get back on a normal track where we're looking at, a trillion plus deficit for the fiscal year, I think we'll be able to keep our head above water. I think the economy will stay on a growth track. I think the stock market will start to slowly recover. I mean, the amount of selling that has occurred thus far is basically equivalent to what we saw in the pandemic crash, when you had a 30% contraction in GDP. The only difference now is we don't have a stimulus coming to help the economy. I mean, back then, it was Trump at that time, and Congress hit the economy with massive stimulus. And even when Biden took over in last year in January, there was another round of stimulus. I mean, that's not happening, and it's not going to happen, because the focus is on inflation. And there is going to be nobody who will argue for stimulus now, because everyone believes that the problem is inflation. And the problem is inflation to a certain degree, but the real problem is that, just the amount of fiscal support is just not enough. I mean, it may be just enough to keep the economy in a very slow growth mode, which, if we get that, I mean, we'll be lucky. I mean, even if we get that, we'll be lucky. I mean, that will allow the stock market to recover over time. You know, it's not going to be a V-shaped bottom by any means. And it may very well be that any rebound may end up just to be an opportunity to sell again. But again, we have to see the numbers, we have to see the flows. Up until now, April was a disaster with the tax collections, 330 billion surplus. May, we peaked out at a 50 billion surplus. Now we're finally starting to come down, and I keep my fingers crossed. But it looks like today, with the market action that we saw, NASDAQ, everything down, NASDAQ rallies back, closes positive. I think that's a good sign. Anyway, coming to you here from Terlinga, Texas. Unbelievable, man. I'm going to get some good stargazing in tonight. I'm telling you. I mean, there's nothing here. This area here, Big Bend, and this area is rated, this is on the international list of dark skies. There's actually a list of locations in the world with the darkest skies where you could see the most stars. And this is #1 in the 48 states. So, and it's super clear right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of great stars tonight. All right, everybody, take it easy. Bye.